Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today and another Ask Me Anything. Yes, this is the fourth installment of Ask Me Anything, where you can ask me literally anything, whether it's about music, home recording, home studio, mobile recording, creating in GarageBand, what I had for breakfast, everything's on the table. If it's your first time here, my name is Pete. And as I mentioned, this is Studio Live today. My goal here is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And I do that through live shows like this, through podcasts, through tutorial videos, through a whole bunch of other ways. I'm not a guy that likes the background music. I thought let's do the opening with the with the background music here today. It's surprisingly distracting. I think I know a lot of other YouTube channels and video creators use a lot of background music. Because I create music, I find that it takes away from the actual music, and I stop and listen into the music, and then I either can't concentrate on what I'm saying, or I feel the same way when I'm watching tutorials as well. Let me know what you think, though. Do you like having the background music? If you're watching a tutorial that's not music related, would you prefer to just have the person talking and explaining what they're doing, or would you like to have some background music, even just quiet background music along? I don't know. The jury's out for me. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are getting ready for a big weekend. It is Saturday morning here in sunny. No, it's not sunny in Adelaide, South Australia. You can tell that the seasons, they are changing. When Pete starts rocking the hoodie instead of just the random rock band t-shirt, then yeah, you know that that the seasons are changing, and it is wet, it is rainy, it is cold. And I know some people in some parts of the world will say cold because today it's like 13 degrees and rainy, and they're like, ha, 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 13 degrees Celsius. We go to the beach when it's 13 degrees Celsius. But for us here in Adelaide, that is quite chilly. Who we got here? We've got House of Milk is here. Hi, yeah, you were here early, getting stuck in there. We've got Kyle TV. I hope you are doing well. Mr. Benedict Stewart. Hello from Scotland. I hope you are doing well. We've got Montreal representing here with Battalion 58 dropping in. Alex Bacchus is here from Germany. Every time I think about my desire, my project to do some instrumental music, some synth music, something a little bit different, think of you, because I know that you were keen to see me do something like that. We've got Rockstar 1958 from Singapore. Hope you are doing well. Soulrack M7 is here. We've got Dom Fatchin. It is bedtime. Yes, I know. Sorry, Dom. I know this isn't a great time for some folks in some parts of the world. So yes, I know it's bedtime for my friends in Europe and the UK. Desolate morning. Hello to you. We've got BT48S94ZNG. Catchy name. all the other YouTube BT47S93ZNG was taken apparently. Don't worry, I don't mean to poke fun. It is hard. Like when I think my first YouTube name was the Crud Man, like legitimately. Anyway, we can talk about that later. Hello to Dan. Oh, hope you are doing well, my friend. We've got Omar Nay is here. We've got Makaylee, dialing in from Pakistan. Great to have you here. What's up, Slick? Pantera Rule. I'm rocking my Weird Al Yankovic today, but I run the gamut. I can go some Pantera. Why not? Then we've got some other folks. Sion is here, and yes, waiting for those ambient tunes is Alex. So welcome aboard. That is my sort of the way that we roll here. Is I like to welcome everyone here before we dive in to the questions. So what have we got on the show today? Well, we'll be answering a bunch of your questions that you will put here live. So what is on the show is kind of entirely up to you. We will have another lightning round, so we'll be talking about some questions on the lightning round today. We'll do that at about half time, about 10 minutes, around about 45 minutes to an hour in, and that's just an opportunity to have a bit of a break and answer some non-music related questions. But for now, let us dive on in and start answering some of the questions, because I can see we've already got some folks who are jumping in and asking questions. So if you do have a question, the best thing to do, is to do this. If you've got a question, just put the word question at the start of your comment. I love that everyone gets involved and has a chat here in the chat during these shows, but sometimes it can be hard for me to find and farm out the questions from the chat. So if you want to make sure your question's answered, whack the word question in front and we'll be good to go. Let's jump on over and look at the first question, which is from, I missed it. I'm going to start at the top here, from Kyle TV, which is, how did you get into music and when did you start to take it seriously? So this is a really good question. I touched on it briefly last week, I think. How I got into music was started learning piano. Didn't really like it because of all the theory and all the work that I had to do there, and it wasn't really my bag. Sort of stopped that after a while. Played viola in primary school. I think I told the story that I was voted the number one viola player in my school because I was the only viola player in my school. And it wasn't really until I was about 12 or 13 that I actually picked up my brother's guitar. My brother is 6-7 years older than me, and he would start going out. So every time my brother would go to the pub, I would sneak into his room and grab his Stratocaster copy electric guitar and just teach myself guitar. And over the course of about a year, I learned to play guitar, and the rest, as they say, is history. Joined a band, a 3-piece punk grunge rock band that we got together. Started playing around the place, not seriously, not to the next level. We recorded a couple of demos, wanted to do things, but then you know what? You finish high school, everyone goes off and works and studies and does all the things. So that was sort of how I got into it. When did I start taking it seriously? Was about 4 years ago. So pretty much just after I started this channel. I basically was coming up to close to being 40. I was in my mid-30s, and I thought, it's actually ridiculous that I'm not making music. It's so accessible. I've got a laptop. I could buy an interface, so I did, and I started recording. And then it was probably a year or two into that I was like, what's this GarageBand app that's on my iPad? I might give that a go. That looks like it might be a little bit easier. So I did. I grabbed GarageBand, and the rest is history. I realized that there weren't a heap of tutorials out there on GarageBand, so I thought, while I learn to create music, why don't I create tutorials and share them? Because there's got to be other dudes and dudettes just like me who want to get into music, don't know where to start. So that's the abbreviated 2-minute version of that one. Let's continue on. We'll grab the next question here, which is from Aid. Hello, Aid Hibbert, who's jumping in from Facebook. What is the best price quality interface I can plug my mic and backing track in to record me singing and carry around with me? Right. So this is probably one of the challenging things because, what are we? We're at like 7 minutes, and Pete's going to grab his favorite interface, which lives underneath my monitor here. And it's this one. It's the Steinberg UR22C. The challenge with this, though, is that from what you're saying, you want to be able to carry around with you, which maybe not, and you want to be able to play along, plug my mic and backing track in to record me singing and carry around with. The problem with that is that a backing track is going to be a stereo signal. And then if you plug a stereo signal into a 2-channel interface, you're not left with any mic or guitar plugs as well. So you're looking for a mixer. There's a couple of options that I haven't personally used, but a lot of folks are using the Roland Go mixer, which I believe has the ability to put a stereo channel in and then plug a mic and or guitar into. So that might be something to explore. And then depending on budget, I mean, I've got the Zoom LiveTrack L8, which is battery operated as well. So you can plug AA batteries in. That's got 8 channels. You can plug a stereo signal into that. You can get your USB from your computer going into that. And of course, you can then plug microphones, guitars, keyboards, everything else in. And it's not huge, but the form factor is about that. It's there, but I can't really swivel everything to show you. So that's something, if you want something more cost effective, Samson make the MixPad series, Yamaha make the MG series of mixers, and Behringer make their mixers as well. So they're all USB mixers as well, which means you can use them on your computer or your iPad or iPhone, but when you're out and about, you can use them to plug in and record, because you can connect them to your iPhone as well and record direct to iPhone. So hopefully that gives you a few different ideas that you can go with there. Question here from Yafiet Berhane. Is there a good microphone for the iPhone? So iPhone, yes, there's a bunch of different good microphones for the iPhone. Yes, I am rocking this pink, rather stylish iPhone cover at the moment. There's a story about that, and there's a video on the channel. If you follow me on the community tab, I linked to it there. I didn't publicly release it because it was just a bit of fun that I was having there. But yeah, if you check the community tab from a couple of days ago, you'll find that video. Anyway, not the point. Yeah, so it depends on what purpose you're looking for. So it depends whether you're recording video, audio, music, guitar, microphone. Basically, there's a different sort of answer based on what you want. I do have a complete video that I did a while ago. If you search my name, if you search Pete Johns iPhone mic or iPad mic or iOS mic, MIC, not the person mic, but the microphone mic, then you'll be able to find that video. My go-to mic when I'm out and about recording, and whether it's music, vocals, or just voiceover for videos, is called the Shure MV88. And yes, we're only this amount of time in, but it's time to plug. I need some cheesy theme music so that we don't take this too seriously. But it's time to plug the gear guide here on Studio Live today. Let's jump over to the gear guide. So if I share my screen with you here, you'll see if you go to studiolivetoday.com/gear, it has all of this business. So there's some links up the top there that you can jump straight in and search around on Sweetwater or Thomann or Amazon. But this is what I point most people to, because people say, what do you use for blah? And it's all here. So my current setup, it's April 2020. So I need to update it for May. I don't think I've added any new gear. So this is still current. So it's got audio interfaces, the USB, the mobile, the analog one that I use there, my headphones, my guitar, my keyboard, etc. So if we come down here to microphone, there's two options here that are probably the way to go. So there's the Samson Meteor and the Shure MV88. Let's show you both of these real quick. So if we go into this link here, it'll open up Sweetwater. And if Pete has set his links correctly, it will do exactly this. It will open this, and here's the Samson Meteor. So a little $70 microphone, very nice, stylish aluminium body, really well made. And you will need the Lightning to USB 3 adapter to look, little R2D2 looking thing, isn't he? You'll need the Lightning to USB adapter to use this with an iPhone or an iPad, and I've got videos on the channel about how to do that. So that's sort of one cool option that you have there. The other option, as I mentioned, is this one here, the MV88, and this one is very cool. You can see there it is, not cheap. So yes, full disclosure, $150 for a microphone might not be within your budget, but if you want the best quality microphone with the least effort, you can see there it's got a direct lightning plug, plugs straight in, and comes with its own little carrying case. And this is something that I have in my kit bag all the time. So if I'm on the go and I want to record video, I get the best possible quality audio that I can get. And you can see there 54 reviews, 4.5 stars. A lot of other people like it as well. The other way to go is something like this. If you want a low budget solution and be able to plug any mic or any guitar or keyboard in for that matter, go with something like this, the Tascam IXZ or IXZ, as we'd say here in Australia. It's a bit expensive at the moment. You can pick it up for about $50, $55 on eBay and other places sometimes, but again, gets lots of really good reviews. It's got a combo jack there with a mic and a guitar input. You can switch the mode there, phantom power. It runs on 2 AA batteries, so a really good portable solution. And the beautiful part about that is you can plug in any microphone directly into that one. You don't need to, so any XLR microphone will be compatible with that one. So hopefully that helps you and gives you some ideas for what to go with. Let's continue on because we have more questions. And last week I spent too much time answering the first 3 or 4 questions, and I got so far behind in the chat that I think it frustrated folks. Okay, we'll continue on here. So, question here from Elijah, 1985. Question: what are your opinions on mainstream artists of the 80s, such as Madonna? Greetings from Chicago. Your videos are great help. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Artists of the 80s. Well, it's interesting because last weekend, and again, shameless plug, I'm doing a happy hour show every weekend. Last weekend was the 80s. This weekend's the 90s. I didn't do any Madonna tunes last week. Don't think I have any on the schedule for this week. I like the mainstream artists of the 80s, especially ones like Madonna, and especially ones that can reinvent themselves over different years. A lot of people will say, oh, they're just going with whatever's popular, or they're going with whatever the style is at the time. That's sort of one way to look at it. Or you could say that it's going to be boring. If you're singing Material Girl for the next 30 years, that's going to be pretty boring. So Madonna has definitely branched out and done different things. Other artists, similar fashion, have done different things. So I've got a sneeze coming. One moment, please. Didn't quite get into my elbow, but that's all right. I'm the only person here, and I will wash my hands thoroughly following the show. I'm the only one that touches my gear. Um, I'm like Biff from Back to the Future. No one touches my mixer. Where were we? Yeah, so I've got a lot of respect from the artists from the 80s. And plus, the other thing is that you had to be really good in the 80s to actually become a mainstream artist. People think that, these were manufactured bubblegum pop stuff. No, most of them, if you read the story behind the story, they had to grind it out in clubs and they had to work hard and they had to, try and get record deals because you couldn't do it all yourself back then. So, yeah, my personal view is a lot of respect for those artists that did work their way up because, again, these days we have the ability that anyone, it's a completely open market. Anyone with an iPhone and an idea can create a high quality song. And if they're good enough, or if they hit the market at the right time, or they have the right sort of social media marketing strategy, then they can become successful. So thank you for your question, though. I do appreciate it. A question: what should I do vocally if I have no closet or no car as far as a vocal booth? Good question. So recording vocals, we've talked about this in previous shows here on the channel. And again, I've got videos. If you search Pete Johns vocals, there'll be a bunch of different tips and videos about recording vocals. But my number one tip is to reduce the noise around you. So the two things that are going to make your vocals sound bad, and I know I say this in a non-treated reflective area, but this just happens to be the best place for me to record my streams, is to go into a smaller space. So the smallest room in your house, maybe not the toilet because it's not going to meet the second criteria, which is reflective surfaces. So what you don't want, the worst thing you can do is point directly at a wall at 90 degrees because that is going to reflect a hard surface, a surface that's flat and hard is going to reflect back on you. So when I'm recording in this room, for instance, you'll notice behind me, there's a thick curtain and a couch there. So the best thing for me to do is kind of to sing into that space. So if I'm singing into that space, it's hitting that curtain, and because that curtain's rippled, it's kind of acts a bit like a makeshift. You've seen those, like the sound treatment that you have on walls. It acts a little bit like that. So because it's a ripple, because it's soft, it's reflecting off still, but it's soft, so it's not reflecting harshly, and it goes off in different directions. So that's the kind of key thing is to, if you don't have a small room and you're stuck somewhere, and people have literally done this before. I've known people that have been in a hotel room and they can't find the right surface. So they get under the blankets in the bed and they record in there just to get that softness around them. Like, it might not be very comfortable for a long period of time, but if you really want to deaden the sound, if you really want to reduce the reflections and the noise, it's a pretty quiet place under the covers of your bed. So that's some ideas and tips that might help you out. A question here from BT48S, etc. Can you take the sound from iMovie to GarageBand? Now, that's an interesting question. Can you take it from iMovie to GarageBand? You can, of course, go the other way, but can you go iMovie to GarageBand? Yes, you would be able to. But you would, so to get into GarageBand, it'll need to be an audio file. And to the best of my memory, I don't think iMovie actually exports. It exports as an audio file. I think it only exports as video file. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Because I have my iPad plugged in and ready to go here in case we had questions about iOS. So I'm here in, am I in iMovie? Yes, that's iMovie, I think. So if I export from here, actually, I was going to do this today anyway. Why don't we reflect up my screen so that you can play along at home today? So we'll reflect this one up. And then I'm just going to send this here to my desktop and hold the line, please. Your call is important to me. Oh, I've got this problem again. I'll bring this across. I'll fix up the resolution in a moment because it's set to iPhone resolution, so it's not going to be super full screen. But this is me doing a video of me playing a song. So if we wanted to, let's grab my other mouse so that we can mouse around on the iPad. So we go done on that one. Boom. If we wanted to export this, what would we do? So we'd export this. We would say export the project. What options do we get? Exporting the project. Yeah, we can only really save it. What I would actually do is I would send it in here in more. We should be able to do copy to audio share. Can we? No, we can't. So let's save it as a file and then open it in audio share. So if I save it to files, we'll do this and we'll pop it somewhere. We'll just pop it. Yeah, let's just pop it in I'll pop it in my audio share folder so I know where it is. Pop it in my audio share files folder and hit save. So that's saved out and that will have saved the video file, I'm assuming. So let's now come over here and go into audio share, which is by the way, audio share, if you're not familiar, it's an audio conversion, recording, everything tool, and it pretty much does everything that you would want to do. Now here's the problem. I exported the movie, but I used export instead of save video. Hold the line. We can fix this. Hopefully this is going to be useful for more than just for more review, because iMovie is a very cool tool. And if you use your iPhone or your iPad, you probably use iMovie. There was a problem. I did export project instead of save video. This is better. So let's just save it as a HD video. We don't need 4K for this experiment. We'll let that export and we'll save it out. And then what I was basically going to show you, which I will in a moment, and it's useful for all sorts of things. Anytime you've got a video file and you want to save out just the audio, then you can do that. You can jump in and export a video, bring it into audio share, and then convert it. So we'll let that do its thing. And what I might do is jump back over to the chat and we'll continue on, and I'll come back to that once it's exported, because it might take another minute or two. But thank you for the question there. We'll continue on here. Make sure that everything's working okay. Yals. I think I've answered the question there about this one here. Yes, is there a good microphone for iPhone recording? So yes, we have covered that one. So a question here from Alex is, did you ever play around with teenage engineering equipment? I started playing with my Pocket Operator 32 Tonic again today. Now, this is where I'm going to show my ignorance. Is teenage engineering an actual name of a company? Like, do they make things, or or are you talking about when I was a teenager and I was okay? So no, teenage engineering is an actual company. So no, I haven't. I'm just looking them up now. So teenage engineering Pocket Operator. This looks kind of cool. This looks like some good stuff. What I'll do is I'll go back to the other iPhone question. I've found what these look like, and I'll take a look at them. We can learn together. But it looks like a little. Yeah, it looks like a little pocket sampler, sampler sequencer kind of thing. Pocket sequencer. Anyway, we'll have a look at that in a moment. So hold that thought, Alex. We will jump back in and chat about that. But for now, let's jump back over. We're a little bit random here today, but that's okay. So here I've exported that project file. I'm now going to hit OK, okie dokie. So now it has actually saved it to my photo library, which makes it a little bit trickier, because now I need to go in and have one more step here and go into my albums, into my photo library, grab this one here, and let's select it, tap it, and export it in the top here. And this time, will this let me send it straight to? I'm probably going to still have to save it to my files, but let's see if I can send it. I could send it to File Converter. That's another option that I have there. That's a pretty cool app. Let's try it. No, let's do the audio share thing first. So we'll save to files down here. Save to files. We'll pop it back straight into that audio share file that we had before. Saved in. Boom. Then we'll come over here to audio share. And this is what I actually do for the podcast that I create here, where I just record a live video and then export. I export the video. I bring it straight here into audio share. I convert it to an M4A, and then I pretty much upload it. So that's a little hack that I use there. So here's the movie, 720p movie. We can see it's. I've sold you a dummy here, and this is the beauty part of live shows, is that it's a .mov file which isn't supported here in audio share. So this is going to be the problem, is that we're not going to be able to convert it here because it's a movie file as opposed to an MP4 file. So let's try plan B. Let's go back and try the file converter. So we'll do the exact same thing. Not slideshow. Why do I want a slideshow? Where am I going? We'll go to select. We'll select on the video. We'll do the share option again. This time, though, why don't we try this? We'll go File Converter. We'll send it over to our File Converter app, which is a pretty cool app. I have used it before. So it's got it there. There it is. It's a movie file ready to go. We're going to go video converter. We want to actually want audio, didn't we? Audio converter. And we want to, let's say we want it as a wave file that we can use in GarageBand. We'll tap wave. So we're going movie to wave. There's our output settings. We won't play around too much with the settings. We'll just get it working this time, but you can play around with the settings. We will convert it. It's going to convert it directly here. It's going to do its thing, and it's going to crash. So the answer here is no. No, the answer here is let's work on that because, there are definitely ways to do it. I might revisit that with something like Voice Record Pro because I think that can ingest video. But yeah, it looks like the videos that come out of iMovie because they're in the .movie format. The way I showed before works beautifully with any MP4 file. So anything you download from your own YouTube, anything that you upload, anything that you create in something like LumaFusion, it works. Because Apple use those .mov files, it just doesn't like those across a lot of things. But there you go. As I say, what you get when you watch a live show is it could be a slick, well-oiled machine where you learn lots of stuff, or you could get to see a train wreck. That was part one of the train wreck, but that's okay. We tried it, and it just gives me some motivation to go away. I think that needs to be a video. I need to work out a solution that's quick and simple to actually do that, and then create a video. Let's carry on though. Sion, in relation to the vocal recording, says some people record vocals on their bed covered under a blanket. Yeah, it literally, if you don't have that, is one of the best places to actually do that. Let's jump back to Alex and talking about this stuff here. I'm going to unshare my iPad at the moment so that we can bring this up. So yeah, if like me, you're not familiar with these and you thought Alex might have been asking about teenage engineering from a point of view of actual being a teenager doing engineering, no, they're these things, the Pocket Operator, which again, I've obviously missed the boat on, but they look super cool. Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is that there's probably not much that I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but is there much they can do that you can't do with a sampler app on an iPhone these days? Is the audio quality maybe better, better quality samples, more features, that sort of thing? Sometimes a single use hardware device can actually be better than using other devices. So maybe that's the case. But no, I haven't. Short answer, no, but let me know if you think it's something we should check out or talk about more. Question here from Ultimator. Is YouTube your full-time job? No, well, it's not my only job. It kind of feels like a full-time job most of the time, but no, it is technically a part-time job at the moment. So I don't do this full-time. Got other things that I do as well. But thank you for the question. Maybe one day. Omar Nay says, question, would you ever collaborate with a fan? Yes, I would, and yes, I have. The challenge is all around the timing. So collaborations are great fun. I highly recommend them. If you can collaborate with someone, do it. It is a great learning experience for you and the other person. It teaches you how to make music with other people. You learn a lot of new techniques and things that you maybe didn't do. And the sum of the parts is often gives you a better the sum of the parts is better as a whole than each individual would be able to create. So yeah, you can often create some unique and new things. So the problem at the moment, as I said, is finding the time to do all the things that I'd love to do. And I have a bit of a habit, like not to get too psychoanalyzing, I have a bit of a habit of overcommitting, and then I'm unable to fulfill on things. So I've been super, super careful that I don't commit to anything that I'm not 100% sure that I can do, because it's one of my pet peeves is when, someone commits to something and then you're like, oh, so where's that thing that you committed to? Like, oh, sorry, I ran out of time. It's like, well, you could say, and I again, when I say you, I mean me. I'm guilty of this too. You don't run out of time. You haven't organized your time or managed your time or prioritized your time effectively. So that's something I don't want to do. I know that was a long-winded answer to say, yes, I do. But yeah, that's what I look to. Doing well with my words today, aren't I? Let's continue down. Victor, hello to you, Victor Rinaldi. How do you deal with clicks in samples? There is no fade in or fade out in GarageBand. So yeah, it really depends on. So if you're referring to the clicks that you can sometimes get between loops, especially, so if you're trying to create a sample, you're trying to create a loop, and there's a little click between the two, or there's a little click in the sample that you just need to fade in and fade out. The beauty part is that whilst there's no fade in, fade out, there is automation in GarageBand. So the easiest thing to use is to automate. So if you've got a sample where you need it to quickly, let's say there's a little pop or a click at the end, you can grab the automation on that track, volume automation. So tap the track, tap automation, and then you can actually automate the volume to, at whatever point you want it to start going down, and then go down to 0. So you can skip that click or pop, bring it back up. So that's the way that I manage if I've got any noise and when I'm editing anything. So automation is super powerful, and I wouldn't say underrated, but I think misunderstood or understood by some folks. I've got a heap of videos on the channel. So if you search my name, Pete Johns and Automation, AUTOMATION, you will find a heap of videos that should be able to help you there. Yeah, and this is a good response from Sion. Technically, Pete has collaborated with everyone. I remixed one of his songs. He posted a ton on studiolivetoday.com. Yes, great point. And I will try to find, if anyone can find it for me. I know I'm making everyone do my dirty work for me, but I did my recent song "Hold On" that I did in September last year as part of Songtember. By the way, Songtember is not that far away. We're here in May now. April, May, June, July, August, Songtember. So get your Songtember song. No. Songtember is a month where I encourage everyone to create their own song. And what I did last September is I created my own song, and then I made all of the tracks available for everyone. So you could grab those, you could use one or all of the tracks, you could remix them, you could add in your own sounds, you could do whatever you want. So that's a very good point, Sion. Technically, I have collaborated with everyone and give you the opportunity to do that. And more recently, I did a video where I created my own guitar samples, and I showed you how to create your own samples in GarageBand. And then I shared out those samples as full resolution WAV files, so you can bring those loops into your own projects and use them. So I guess I'm trying to find creative ways to still collaborate and to still share and to still do things like that with other people without having the time to commit to do it. So thank you. Good point. Question here from Kyle TV. This is a random thought, but have you ever tried ukulele? I find playing guitar and ukulele equally fun to play on. Yes, and is it? No. It literally usually lives just over there in the corner, but there is a little ukulele that you might have seen around the studio before. It's my daughter's, and funnily enough, she hadn't probably picked it up in over a year. And then last night, I was reading the bedtime stories, and she's sitting there plunking away on the ukulele. And as distracting as it was trying to read the Billy B. Brown book while hearing clink, clink, clink of ukulele, I've got a rule that if they are doing something creative, it's called the golden rule, basically. Don't tell a child not to do something when it's something that's actually engaging their creativity, because for every minute and hour that they do things like watch TV or watch YouTube or do things that you have to do. I mean, not have to do, but sometimes as a parent, you need to just accept that your kids are going to do things that are a bit mindless. So every time they're doing something creative, I like to just let them go and do their thing. Anyway, the moral of that story and the point of that is that, we were playing the ukulele. So I was literally sitting and tuning the ukulele last night, and I was trying to remember if I knew any of the chords. I could remember, is it C and F, the one that's the one on the top string and then the 3 on the second to top. Yeah, you can see I'm not a ukulele player, but I agree. And I do need to get back into playing some ukulele because it is super fun. I think I was talking to Happy Ron, who I interviewed on the channel a while ago, and I think it was him that said it, or it was someone that said, if you ever want to create a happy song and a happy vibe in a song, add a ukulele. It's almost impossible to create a sad ukulele song. And then I'd play that What a Wonderful World Over the Rainbow by, what's the artist's name? Hawaiian guy, sadly passed away. But yeah, maybe that's the exception where you can play ukulele. That sounds a bit sad. Thank you to, who have we got down here? We have Beale Zebub. Good to see you, my friend. Has thrown a super sticker my way. I love your avatar, by the way. That cat knows things, right? Yeah, totally. Thank you very much for the kind donation. I appreciate you. If you do want to donate to the channel, I don't spruik it too much, but there's ways you can donate. Just check the description of any video. You can become a patron over on patreon.com. You can make a one-off donation via PayPal, or you can just watch videos and be cool, because that helps out as well. All of those things are good. Let's go back to the questions. Thank you, though. Thank you, Kyle, for the random thought. And excellent question. Whew. Excellent thought. This out of context. Pete John sings like a virgin. Yeah, so we were talking Madonna at the start, and I don't think I've ever. I've probably sung the song like a virgin, but yeah, I don't sing a lot of Madonna stuff. But yeah, maybe. I did a cover version of the Bangles' Eternal Flame, no, Manic Monday, which was kind of fun. I kind of like covering and singing female vocal songs and reimagining them a little bit. I like the opposite. I like when like Tori Amos did an epic version of Smells Like Teen Spirit. Speaking of the 90s, I'm doing this weekend, and it was just so cool. So yeah, mixing it up like that, good fun. Alrighty. Question here says, "Hi Pete, your videos have always been helpful. You're welcome. Can you please help me choose between the iPad 7th Gen 128 gigs, iPad Mini 5th Gen 64 gigs for music production?" Ooh, this is tough. And I've had a similar question. It may have been you or may have been other folks. A lot of folks that are trying to get into iPad production, and this is a question I get a lot. It seems to be between these sort of variations, either an iPad Air 3 or an iPad later generation, or the iPad Mini. Now, the iPad Mini 5th Gen actually has a better processor. In fact, let's go over. Let's cheat and go. Is it cheating when you go to your own website to check the details? But let's do that anyway. Let's go to studiolivetoday.com/iPad, because this is my place for comparing. And here's my iPad buyer's guide. So the iPad 2019 7th Gen is one that I put here on the best sort of entry level. Reason being, can you see that? Yeah. Reason being that the processor in that one is the older chip. And I'll show you in the comparison chart in a moment. I don't actually have, do I have the Mini? Yeah, there you go. So the best all-rounder, I have the Mini 2019 5th Gen, because it does have that better chip. So, I mean, by this, I would say for performance, you want to go the iPad Mini based on that. The iPad 2019, you're not going to have the same level of performance, but as you pointed out, you'll get a little bit more storage space on that one, which could be useful. 64 gigs is okay if you use iCloud for your backups and if you use the cloud to store things. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that. Now, the cool thing, or I think it's cool anyway, but I'm biased, is this, the iPad Buyer's Guide. We're up to version 2.3 because I've updated it with all the latest iPad Pros. I'll just pop your question off the screen there for a moment so we can zoom on in and see this a little better. Whoop, press the wrong button like that. So you won't be able to see this great on the screen. Whoa, but if I zoom on in way too far, come on, Pete, get it together. I'm trying to use my scroll wheel, but it's just going, it's either going zooming all the way in or it's zooming like, there we go. That's going to be the best we can get. Sorry. So what you'll see here, and you can't really see it very well, is over on the left is all the different models. So if we look at the iPad 7th Gen, you'll see it's rocking the A10 2.34 gig processor. It's got 3 gigabytes of RAM. And as you pointed out, it ranges in storage from 32 to 128. And the pricing there is $329 to $559. There's a link there that you can go to check all of that out. The iPad Mini 5th Gen is an A12 processor at 2.49. It's the hexa-core, so 6-core processor, still 3 gigs of RAM, ranges from 64 to 256, and ranges in price from $399 to $679. So from that, you can see there that you get the 2 generations higher processor in the iPad Mini 5, but you will pay a little bit more and get for the amount of storage that you get. So the other consideration is clearly screen size. So the iPad, I don't have one here. My children are using it. So the iPad is 10.2 inches. The iPad 7th Gen. The iPad Mini is 7.9 inches screen, I think, off the top of my head. I should put that in the guide there. So you are going to have a bigger screen size. So if you've got big chunky fingers like mine, you may want to go for the bigger screen just for the ability to touch and slide things around. If you want to stack up a bunch of different apps and a bunch of different plugins and a bunch of processing, then I would go for the Mini 5, because that is going to last you longer. You're going to be able to run more things concurrently at a time. Your performance is going to be markedly better because, again, you're 2 generations. You're that A12 processor as opposed to the old A10 processor that you have on the iPad. Hopefully that helped you out, and anyone else that's shopping around for an iPad, hopefully it helped you out as well. A question here from River Miller. Funnily enough, I'm going to test this out in the coming weeks, because I've had this question a lot from gamers that, can you play PUBG? Can you play Roblox? Can you play Minecraft? Can you play Fortnite? Can you play these with the keyboard and mouse on your iPhone, on your iPad? And I haven't actually personally tried it. I have seen people do it, and there's been mixed reviews. Here's the problem, is that all mobile games are designed for a touchscreen. So there aren't any mobile games yet that are designed for the keyboard and mouse. Now, and that may change. We may find that the most popular games get revisions. Now that Apple have got the Pro series, they've got the trackpad, they've got the Magic Keyboard, we may find that game designers and developers actually start implementing proper keyboard support. Because again, I agree with you. I have played Roblox. My children love it, so they drag me along and ask me to play Roblox. So I'm aware of it, and it's the same with other games. It would be cool because, hey, even though this is all about music creation and video creation, we all need a bit of downtime, and I'm definitely not averse to having some downtime and playing some games every now and then. Hello to Sun Ray. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Always good to see you in your positivity here in the chat. I really enjoy it. Question here from AP Extendo. Can you react to my song? So I've never done a reaction video. So here's the thing. I've got mixed feelings on reaction videos. I think people like Beth Rawls, who I've interviewed on the channel here recently, she does vocal reaction videos to like popular, famous vocalists. And yeah, she does an exceptionally good job because she's so positive and she finds what is good and unique about things. Some reaction videos on the flip side are a little bit too negative. And look, yes, you don't want it all to be American Idol style, like there's American Idol syndrome where people have music that is not good. They're not told because their family want to support them and yay, you're going to do well. And then they get out into the reality of the real world and get told that they're not good, and that can be quite crushing. So I don't want it to be that way, but I also don't think it needs to be super negative. So yeah, when I see reaction videos that are somewhere in between where they're like, here's what's really good, here's maybe something constructive that can be worked on to do better with that. Maybe it's something, let me know if folks that are watching this here in the chat, or if you're watching on the replay and you've got a view on this, let me know down in the comments whether you think that that would be something that would be worthwhile. I don't know. It's a market where there's a lot of people doing that sort of thing. So I wasn't sure if it would add value, but I do it privately anyway. So maybe I should be doing some videos about it. So when people do send me an email, while again, I don't have a heap of time, I will try to at least give their song a listen and provide 3 or 4 dot points back to say, hey, here's what I really liked. Here's something that you may want to consider changing. So feel free to email me. I'm about 4 days behind on email at the moment. So that's pretty good. That's almost caught up. Pete@studiolivetoday.com if you want to get in touch. Question here, APF, what is a good microphone that I can connect to my iPad 6 for an affordable price? So we covered off on a lot of this stuff earlier in the show. So if you go back and watch, I think the second or third question, we talked all about iPhone and iPad microphones. In terms of budget price, so for a reasonable price, depending what you want to record, actually the iRig mic series is not too bad. So there are, let's see if we can find them real quick here. I don't have them on my gear guide because I don't actually use them, but I have used them, and I do know people that do use them, and there's a heap of different ones. So if we type in iRig mic, oops, I'm in amazon.com.au, which is, as folks who are in Australia know, you're not going to get the same stuff on amazon.com.au. Unfortunately, it's getting better, but we don't have the same range. I still have to import a lot of the gear that I buy from the US because what we have here is not so good. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I'm not finding the latest versions here on Amazon either. By the way, there is a kind of, without being too dramatic, there's a bit of a worldwide gear shortage going on right now, where a lot of the gear that you could usually buy is either out of stock or unavailable pretty much everywhere online. So let's just try Sweetwater, because they've got usually a much better range than Amazon do of the gear, and at least better stock levels. So if we search for the iRig mic here on Sweetwater, it's taking a moment. There we go. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. And it's actually, not only do they have it, but it's on sale. So there you go. That's a good deal. So here is the iRig mic. So this is one, so there's 2 versions. Well, actually, there's 3 versions. There's the mic HD, and then the mic Studio. They range from about $40, which is this one, which is using the 3.5mm jack. So you do need an iPad that has a 3.5mm jack, which I think you said, yeah, iPad 6. So it does have a 3.5mm jack. So this one plugs in, as you can see there, via the 3.5mm jack. It does, I believe it has a headphone jack as well, so that you can monitor from it, or does it? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this model doesn't have a headphone jack. The HD version definitely does have a headphone jack. Can we see there? No headphone jack. So that's a bit of a pain. That's not going to help you if you want to monitor while you record, because yeah, you need to be able to plug into that. That's a bit strange, isn't it? I thought it did. I thought it came with a headphone jack. I have to do some more research on that one. But there is the iRig HD. So if we go back up here and we search the iRig mic HD, then this one, come on, there it is. So again, twice the price, but you do get a digital sound going in there. So for $80, you can plug and play and be on your way. And this one, you get the full kit and caboodle there with it. It comes with a USB and a lightning plug. You can see there it's got the ability to plug headphones in, and it's got a gain level and a headphone level as well. Maybe I need to pick one of these up and actually try them, because I do get this question a lot, such as this one. So maybe this is something that in the coming weeks I need to pick up and take a look at. We'll consider that one. Take that on notice. But I have heard that they do, for the price, again, they do a pretty good job. And it looks like they got, $20 off at the moment. They're down from 100 down to 80 for the Lightning version. So thank you for your question. Hopefully that gave you some ideas as well. But yeah, definitely go back and check the previous information I gave earlier if you've got more questions. We'll continue on. Alex, just talking about, so earlier we were talking about Teenage Engineering, make very cool synth. The pocket operators are fun to play with. Basically, it's a Game Boy for musicians, dependent on the version. They are drum, computers, sequencers, samplers. Cool. So yeah, I had no idea. I'm completely out of the loop on Teenage Engineering stuff. So go figure. But thank you for letting me know. Yes, this is the artist I was trying to talk about before, Israel, who sang the Over the Rainbow on the uke. Yeah, it was very, very cool. Hello, Jeff Hoonan. Hello to you. Hi, good to have you here. And first time on your stream. Well, welcome. Great to have you here, and welcome aboard. If you have a question, just throw a question in front and I will definitely try to answer it. Hello to, I don't think there's a question. No, but Mark Guest Guitar. Look at that cool avatar. Sorry, I get lost in people's avatars sometimes. Hello to you, Mark. I just wanted to say thank you for all the help I've gotten from videos. You're very welcome. Due to lockdown, I'm playing guitar again and set up a channel playing my favorite solos with your help. Awesome. Well, there you go. I've never actually watched a Mark Guest video, but go check out Mark Guest Guitar and listen to some guitar solos. Send me an email to remind me, and I'll go check it out as well, Mark. Pete@studiolivetoday.com. Because yeah, I get halfway through these streams and I say a bunch of stuff and then I've completely forgotten, and I don't rewatch the entire couple of hours of my live streams to go and make notes. What I should do, maybe this is a memo for myself, I should make notes as I go. So I should make notes that check out the iRig HD mic, check out Mark Guest Guitar's videos, but I don't. Something for the future, perhaps. Alrighty. Let's have a look. We've got Cindy has a question here. So is there a normalization function on the iMac? I saw your video on iPad, but can't seem to find the feature on iMac. Thank you. So you may be referring to the merge function, where you can merge a track and it will normalize the volume. Yeah, this is one of the few things that are, well, not few things, but there's a few differences between the Mac version of GarageBand and the iOS, the iPad and iPhone version of GarageBand. Primarily is the merge function. It's a very cool function, and I don't know why they haven't implemented it on Mac, but what you can do basically is select one or multiple tracks, hit the merge option, and it will merge all of those down into one track and one audio track. And at the same time, it normalizes the volume. It lifts up the volume of your track. So you don't have that on Mac. What I would do is check out the peak limiter. So I would grab the peak limiter on the Mac version. It's one of the AU plugins. So go to your plugins and check out the peak limiter. That will do a similar sort of thing that will raise up your volume. There are also normalization plugins and compressor plugins and volume plugins that you can download on your Mac to use with that. If you do definitely want to export it as an audio file and do the same sort of normalization thing, what you can do is solo the track and then export it, and make sure you've got auto normalization set on your Mac settings. It will then export and normalize that track up to 0 dB. You can then import that WAV file back into your GarageBand project and then have that as a separate track. So it's a little bit clunkier, but it is possible. Hopefully that helps you out, Cindy. Question here from producer RAF Pete. I've been making music for about 2 years on GarageBand, and I was wondering if there's any way to find the key, any sample without having to search up the sample. Find the key to any sample without having to search up the sample. So short answer is no, not within GarageBand directly. There are different apps, and I'm well overdue. I say this most weeks, but I'm well overdue to find solutions for this because I get similar questions. Here's the key questions I get all the time. How do I change the tempo of a sample or a loop? How do I change the speed of a sample? Same thing. How do I change the pitch of a sample or a loop to make it higher or lower? And exactly this. How do I determine what key or what notes a sample or a loop is actually playing when it's playing back? So the short answer is you need to use an external app. So you need to use something where you can import a sound and then adjust it. Now, some of those have things where they can determine the tempo for you. So they'll do some beat analyzing and work out what the beat is, and then you can adjust it from there. Some have the ability to actually identify the key and identify the notes, and you can shift the pitch that way. I haven't found a great all-in-one solution for iOS yet, but there's a challenge to everyone here. If you use something to do any of these functions, let us know because, I'm not sure. And I haven't found the one sort of killer app that's going to do all of those things. So let me know if you do have an answer to that or if you've got any suggestions for our friend here and for others who are asking us this same question as well. Would love to get your views. Question here for Barry Smith. If Apple put Logic Pro X on the iPad Pro, would they still leave the GarageBand app on there? I would say so. I don't think that the GarageBand app is going anywhere, even if, so there's been rumors for years and years that Apple are going to abandon GarageBand and quick, run for the hills. There was someone who emailed me adamant that GarageBand would not only stop being developed, but will be removed from the App Store. And this was like late 2018. And at the time I said, I haven't heard anything like this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And again, like most doomsday predictions, it wasn't as dire as perhaps the prediction first was. So no, I don't think so. I think we'll be absolutely fine and that we'll keep there. Question here. Thanks. I asked the same question before in the comment section. You probably missed out replying. Thanks again. Let's see if I can manage my budget to buy the 256 gigs. Yeah, the 256 gig iPad Mini 5. So this was a question we had about 15 minutes ago about iPads and buying the different ones. If I did miss your comment, I apologize. I pride myself on trying to at least respond at once to every comment that I get. But yeah, it's becoming hard. It's a good problem to have. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the fact that I get too many comments to reply to. But yeah, there's literally only certain number of hours in the day, and I do try to get to comments and do try to reply to them whenever I possibly can. And short of hiring someone to be me and to respond to the comments, which hey, it may get to that, but at this point in time, it's just me. And if you get a response, it'll be from me, and I do the best that I can. But if I miss anything, just ask again. Like don't go to every video and ask the same question at the same time. But if you've asked a question and I haven't responded within a week, then by all means, send me an email or ask it again on that video or a different video. I'll probably get it next time. So Kyle TV started asking a question. Sorry, didn't mean to call you out of this, but what are your thoughts on guitar MIDI controllers? So guitar MIDI controllers. So assuming that you're meaning things like the jam stick and these sort of things where you can, it's sort of more like a guitar and you play it and it controls MIDI. Can you see it back there? Yeah, you can. So in front of that cool keyboard is my Artiphone, which is the Instrument One, which is a very cool thing. And like I've played with it, but it's one of those things that I ran out of time for the learning curve to get it. So I used it. It was intuitive, but if you don't know what it is, it's like a fretted instruments, but you move up and down the fretboard, and it's like a virtual guitar. So it's got 6 virtual strings that you can pluck or that you can strum, and then you can move your fingers up and down. You can play it like a guitar, like a violin. You can even tap it as a keyboard or for beats and to enter drum beats. Same sort of thing with virtual MIDI guitars is that I think they're really cool, but I think that the time you take to get used to them is just not time that I've actually had. That all being said, I've got a bit of additional time in the next few weeks, so I'm definitely going to be re-exploring. Where is it? Over there. Re-exploring and revisiting my Instrument One because it is so cool, and I've been wanting to play with it. And they've updated the app and a bunch of stuff in iOS 13 to go along with it. So I definitely want to re-explore that and find out what I can do with it because it's a cool way to go. Let's see if we've got any other. Oh, excuse me. Any other questions here? Um, Sorry, I'm just scrolling back up. It keeps bumping on down, and I miss that. Um, bu- 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 Sorry, I've got some other things that aren't actually questions. So I'm just trying to find the question. Sorry for the dead air. I know, such a pro, right? Matt Malone says, I just received my new Samsung G Track Pro and love it. The G Track Pro, if you're not familiar, is a microphone audio interface, everything all in one. It looks very cool, and I'll be very keen to find out what you think of it, Matt. But yeah, good piece of kit. Question here from Rohan. Says, I've mixed some songs that I'd like to post to Bandcamp. I don't want to have to learn mastering as well. Is mastering essential? Have you ever tried online mastering services like Landr? So let's talk mastering for a couple of minutes here. So is mastering essential? No. Is anything essential? No. Like nothing in music, like short of, well, okay. Here's what I used to say is nothing in music is yes, no, black, white, right, wrong, except don't clip your signal. So don't distort your bus. Like don't turn up your volume so loud that you get digital clipping because it sounds awful. You know what I hear a lot in music these days? Deliberate digital clipping. If you are younger, or maybe not, maybe you're older, but if you've been on Instagram or TikTok or places lately and you've heard what is popular, there are songs where they literally, the drop is it going from sounding good and normal to sounding horrible and distorted. And it's usually coupled with videos where it's like, you're doing a thing, and boom, oh, wow, something way crazy and wacky happened. So, yeah, they're using digital distortion as a legitimate musical technique. So, what that said to me is, Pete, don't be an old man about it. Just go with whatever's going to work for you. How does that relate to mastering? Well, you don't have to master your songs. The benefit of mastering your songs is they are going to be more competitive when people listen to them in conjunction with other songs. So let's go with a scenario. You release your song on Bandcamp. Someone has a playlist of songs and they're listening to other song, your song, other song. If your song isn't mastered and those other three are, there'll be a audible drop in the overall level that's coming through for your song. So if you release your song and you haven't mastered it, and when we're talking mastering, we're usually referring to limiting. It's not the only thing in mastering. I know mastering engineers all just like spat their tea out in a big spit take and went, no, mastering is not just limiting. But for basic mastering, it involves bringing up the level of your track to make sure it's competitive. So if you don't master your track, you may find that. What I've been encouraging lately, and I've had a few people I've been working with recently that I've been teaching them how to do this is, and I mentioned it in a video this week, in fact, is to do a quick master. So if your final mix is on point, if you spent some time mixing to get it sounding good, then mastering can be as simple as adding a peak limiter and just giving it an extra couple of dB of boost. You don't even have to crush it. You don't have to make it like brick wall, big sausage waveforms, but just adding a limiter with a couple of dB of limiting can actually just take it from, yep, great mix sounding good to great master sounding good. So that would be my advice to you. In terms of the online mastering services like Landr, I have tried them. There's Landr, there's eMastered, there's a bunch of different ones now. They're good. And if you just wanted to release to Bandcamp, you might be okay, because I think for free you can download 1 or 2 per month of low-res MP3 files. If you want the full resolution WAV file, you have to use a paid plan. So it does cost you to do that. Other advice is that there's a few apps. So if you're an iOS user, there's an app called, I'm going to get the names of these wrong now. Grand Finale by Clev Grand is the one that I've used quite a lot. There is Audio Master Pro, which is the simplest version. That's almost like the online ones. You basically pick a genre and then you pick how much of that you want, and it will do the mastering stuff for you. And then there is a Final Touch on the iPad, which is a great mastering apps, which again has some presets if you want to get it started and has some tweaking ability. So I know that was a roundabout way of saying, no, it's not essential, but it's recommended. And even if you only spend literally a minute where you just export your WAV file, you add a limiter, you give it 2 dB gain boost, and then you export as your master, then do that, because it'll just make it competitive when you're playing with other people. Hopefully that works. A question here from Sun Ray. Says, I have a question. I'm trying to stream to make tutorials for DAW techniques. I keep running into an issue that playback sounds like 50 milliseconds latency. Is it drift correction? So depends on what you're using. If you're using OBS OBS, which is the open broadcast software, or Streamlabs OBS or some variant, there is a control in there which you can actually adjust, which is your sync between your audio and your video. And that is something that you will need to adjust because, especially if you're sending video and audio from a webcam. So my video is coming from my webcam, my audio is coming from my mixer or my interface, then you'll need to adjust those sync settings to get them in sync. So play around with that. I can't remember, offset is the name of it. So check out your offset in whatever software you're using and just tweak your offset, record, see if it fixes it, tweak it the other way, record, until you get it right. Unfortunately, there's no sort of auto detection. It's a lot of trial and error, but hopefully that helps you and others that are going to be streaming or trying to stream here as well. Cindy, who asked a question about normalization. I'll re-listen to your response later regarding the solution. Read the normalize and merge. You're very welcome. Like I said, it's not as easy as it is in other platforms, in like iOS, to do it in a Mac. Question here from Shane Hunter. Hello to you, Shane. Can I install third-party AU's audio units in GarageBand? Yes, you sure can. GarageBand iOS. Yep, yeah, absolutely can. So I've got a video. If you search Pete Johns plugins or Pete Johns audio units, you'll find a complete tutorial about exactly how to do that. And in fact, sorry, I'm plug central here today, but hopefully this is helping, because what I've tried to do is basically put all of the common things that I get asked about GarageBand in particular in one spot. And it's over on my GarageBand iOS FAQ. It's over at studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, which should be nice and easy to remember. And this is my frequently asked questions about GarageBand. So up the top here, I've got my overview of what is GarageBand, how to start a song, how to set up a song, and then a song. And then I've got 2 video series here, my quick jams. So that's like 75 videos, all 2 to 5 minutes, all little quick bite-sized chunks to get you up and running with GarageBand. GarageBand iOS Essentials. So that's my video series covering all of the most useful. So there's about 20 videos in there about hooking up an interface, how to use MIDI keyboards. I'm pretty sure plugins is in that one because that's one I get asked about a lot. And then down below, in alphabetical order, I've actually got all of the different questions. And look at this, audio unit plugins is question 3 because it's A. Audio unit, how do I use them? Download a compatible AUV3 app. Well, hang on, can we see that? Yep. Download a compatible app, and then tap edit, tap the green button, tap audio extensions, select the plugin. So there's an answer straight there. If you just want to say, just give me the facts, Pete, I want to find out how to do this, you can do it there. And then there's a video link there. So if we tap on that video link, it will open up in YouTube, and presto change. You know that as well as the plugin. There you go. So, and that takes you into my tutorial that shows you all about how to use audio units in GarageBand. So yes, you can, Shane, and hopefully that gives you some information to get you started. And welcome to the world of plugins. Be very careful. It can be very easy to just download everything and start buying and using plugins all the time. So that's something to keep in mind. Quick drinks break. I just have to, this is professionalism at its best. I just have to send a quick text message. One moment, please. 1, 2, 3. I should sing you a song while I do this, shouldn't I? There we go. All sorted in the hood. So let's continue on here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to scroll down until we find some more questions. Hi to Nate Thornburg. Said hi a few times there. Hello to you. I have a question. All right, here's our next question. Francesco Copes. Hi, Pete. Love your channel, inspiring. Thank you very much, my friend. I have a question for you. What do you think about the Steinberg UR22 Mark II? Those who have been on the channel a lot will already know the answer to this question, which is that I love it. And in fact, I own the upgraded version, and I always show it in pretty much every video, and it's this one. It is the Steinberg UR22C that is, Steinberg's 2-channel USB-C interface, does all the good things. 2 inputs there for guitar and microphone. It's got the mix knob up, mix knob up here to go between your DAW and your playback. It's got balanced outputs. It's got MIDI inputs. It does all the things. Now, the difference between this one and the UR22 Mark II is simply the connection. So there's not much difference between this and the older one. In fact, it's a good time to pick up the UR22 Mark II because unless you need the USB-C, it does pretty much the same sort of stuff. So yeah, love it. Really good, high quality, built like a tank, highly recommended. And if you go over to the gear guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear, you'll note that it is one that I actually have on there as a recommendation. Let's just make sure I'm not false on that claim. Studio Live today. You think I'd bookmark my own websites, not have to type them in every time? That seems really, really badly designed, Pete. So we'll come down here if you go to my current setup. So yeah, there's my UR22C. And I think down here under audio interfaces, yeah, so I've got the UR22C up the top there, and I've also got links to the UR22 Mark II. The biggest challenge that you're going to have right now is finding one in stock somewhere. Might be to look around on eBay or check secondhand or try and find one on Amazon. But yeah, they're pretty rare. Basically, all your audio gear is pretty rare right now. Righty. Question here from Jeff Brush. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Jeff says, first, hi. I made an 8-bar section and then afterward I wanted just a 2-bar fade in. But I would like the fade in to overlap into the first bar or 2 of the 8-bar section. Is that possible? Let's reread this. 8-bar section and then afterward I wanted just a 2-bar fade in. But I would like the fade in to overlap into the first 2-bar of the 8-bar section. Okay, I think I get you. So if you've got say 2 bars and then 8 bars and you want that to sort of fade into that, you'll either need to use automation to fade out the first 2 bars and fade in the other ones, or you'll need to sort of shift them across. So if you want the overlap to happen, you kind of need to do it in, say it was in bar 1 and 2, you need to start the second one in bar 2 and then use automation to fade out in bar 2 and fade in bar 2 if you want to get that mixed feeling where you say you got like a doof, 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 and that's going down and then you go woo, 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 and you bring something else up. So yeah, just play around with automation and sort of line up your 2 tracks one on top of the other at the bar where you want the fade to happen and then go one down and one up. If I'm not understanding the question, maybe rephrase it and we'll see if we can get an answer for that. But hopefully that is in the ballpark or somewhere nearby. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to just look for ones that say question because otherwise, yeah, there's too many for me to get through here. So if you have asked a question and I'm not answering it and it doesn't have the word question in front, put question in front and re-ask it, and I'll try and get back to it. Question here from Yafiet Berhane. How do you write a good chorus? Oh, this could be an hour-long answer in itself. The key to a good chorus, in my view, is that it needs to. The best choruses I've found are ones that borrow an element, so they're not completely different from the verse, but they add something new. So they step it up a notch, basically. So it could be a change in a chord progression from the verse, obviously. It could be a change in rhythm. That often helps and works well in rock songs. You'll notice the drums may go into double time or something like that will happen. Additional instruments, so often guitars, so lead guitars, if it's a rock song, may come in the chorus, or different synth sounds if it's more electronic music coming in the chorus. Yeah, we could talk for a long time about that. And in fact, I've got one of my 2-minute tips is on arranging, and I'll be talking about sort of verse, chorus, verse, different arrangement techniques in a 2-minute tip coming up. So keep an eye on that. We'll scroll on down. So question here, do you have a video regarding managing storage on the device? I've been struggling a lot lately with my iPhone SE. Every time I download a GarageBand project to work on, it takes a lot of space. Yeah. So yes, I do. So there's a couple of videos that I have about how to remove things. So if you're low on space, how to actually increase your storage space. Short version is you delete all your deleted files. Make sure you go into your photos and your files section and delete the deleted files section. I know you have to delete things twice, so do that. Then deleting and reinstalling Facebook and YouTube are a great tip because they take up a lot of space if you leave them in there for a long time. That can really save you some space. And then backing up your projects to something like iCloud, Google Drive, or Dropbox. And I've got a recent video where I show how to zip up and upload to Google Drive. So search Pete Johns Google Drive and you'll come across a video there for that. I have to say this because it's just too fun. While you're live, can you tell people to stop putting raisins in the damn potato salad? Raisins in potato salad. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. I'm not actually a potato salad fan, which is a different thing in its own regard. All right, let's continue scrolling down here. I'm just going to be on the lookout for the word question again. So sorry. What's mastering? Hopefully, the answer I gave a little while ago gave you some info about what mastering is all about. It's basically taking your final mix, adding a few tweaks to make it radio ready. That's the easiest way to think about mastering. Question here, Dan Marino. Hi Pete. Hi guys. Hi Pete. Would you ever do a show where we could send you in our favorite songs we've did in GarageBand and all hear each other's? Would be cool. So yeah, and I had a similar question that do I do reaction videos to people's music? I haven't historically. I'm open to it. So yeah, if there's a lot of demand, again, if you really want something like that, if you want a live show where I do that, or if you want to be able to email me your projects, as I said, I do this anyway, so it might actually be an interesting thing and a time saver for me because I spend a lot of time responding to people on email. So maybe I could actually spend less time and give you more value if I simply got your songs and then played them back for those that were willing to do so. So it's worth considering. I'll take it on notice if you think it would be good. And in fact, I might put a poll out on the community tab of the channel today, just asking to say, is this something that you would participate in or watch? But yeah, the fact that two people have raised the same point in one live stream probably tells me that there might be some demand for it. So I will take it on notice and consider it for sure. Let's have a look here. We'll see if we've got anyone else that has a question. We do. We have Solrak. There's a question. What app did you use for the cello sound on the last song you posted on YouTube? Did you use iSymphonic when the song ended? I did. So why don't I? Let's bring this up because I'm going to do a review of this app shortly. But let's give you a sneak peek because I need a bit of practice anyway. I'm just going to open up my mirroring software, connection. I'm just going to change this back to the iPad resolution so that it's going to look better on the screen here. I know, isn't it great when you're watching someone do their like admin behind the scenes? But that's the beauty of live. All right, we've connected that to my PC screen. We're going to throw it on up here. So I've got my iPad in full iPad resolution glory. I really wish, this is a small pet peeve here, but I really wish that every device would actually just be in 16:9. Like, wouldn't that be so much nicer? I don't know. iPads are in this squashed sort of format that's almost 4:3. It's almost like the old square TVs. You've got silly things like the iPhone 10 and 11 that are in these ridiculous form factors where they're like much longer than they are high. Didn't we agree that everything should just be 16:9? Landscape, 16:9. Anyway. Let's dive in and take a look at this. So, oops, wrong button. So if we go into GarageBand, which is I should have open because I think I was playing this song in the intro. I was. Now I'm using AirPlay. I won't though. I'll bring it back on over by plugging in so that we have good quality direct audio. Let's just give it a quick test drive. There it is. So the frame rate's not going to be spectacular with this because I'm using AirPlay, but you'll be able to get the idea. I'll just have to pop your question down for a moment so we can see. Whoop, wrong one. Wrong button. There we go. So we can see the full screen here. So yeah, what you'll notice is I've used the iSymphonic app, which is a audio unit plug-in instrument here for two different tracks here. And I haven't named them very well yet, but the first track here is a strings track. So let's take a listen to this one soloed. So that's the string sound here in iSymphonic. Which I thought just created a really cool sort of vibe underneath the song there. And the other one that I used here was one of their brass sounds. So iSymphonic is a paid app. It's not cheap. It's about $20 or $30 to buy the first pack, and then you can buy other instrument packs that have different instruments. This is one of the brass ensemble sounds that I used to add some brass pads to this track as well. Let's take a listen. So yeah, really high quality sounds, a lot better than the strings and the brass that we have in GarageBand, but not next level better. So don't think that you have to rush out and buy these. But I've been meaning to check them out for a really long time, and I finally got to them. And yeah, if you listen to these when we get into sort of the chorus, I think they really add to this track. So if we take a listen to this part, I'll bring the vocals back in so you can hear the whole song.
From a distance, observing social distancing rules. You spy from a distance, staying home to help others.
Yeah, so I just thought that for this song it worked really well. It was in the zone and something that that I thought was good. So yes, that is iSymphonic. If you are interested in that one, check the App Store, and there will be a review. I know I've been saying that for how many weeks? Yeah, I know many folks have been watching, going, yes, you've been saying you'll review it, and you never did. So yes, I will be. I'm set up to do it, and I've created a song using it now. So that's sort of the first step towards that. So thank you for that. Where are we for time? We might. I hope no one's hanging out for the lightning round, because we may need to skip that this week, because we've just got too many questions here, and I don't want to be sitting here talking about my favorite flavor of ice cream while while there's questions unanswered. So maybe we'll have to hold off on the lightning round till next week. Let's continue on and take a look here. So Jeff said, yes, that's the idea. So back to Jeff's question around merging and bringing together the two different things. Yeah, it's just about making sure that you have that overlap. So make sure you've got a bar or two bars to overlap, have one coming down in volume, one going up in volume. You should be good to go. Question here from Rahul says, is there any way to know the volume level set to RMS on iPad GarageBand? I've had this question a lot lately, and I'll throw this one out to the community here, because I haven't come across any good AU plugin metering apps for iPad or iPhone for GarageBand for anything in general. I know other DAWs. So I think Cubasis, which I'll be trying out soon, Aurea Pro perhaps has their own metering that is a little bit more in depth than what GarageBand has, but I haven't found anything that works super well. So if you want super accurate metering, you might need to check out some other apps, or again, if anyone has any suggestions or ideas, let us know and we'll have a look. A question here from RJ Lovely says, how do I properly use auto-tune on GarageBand? So GarageBand has its own built-in pitch control or tone pitch correction that you can actually add to a vocal track. So you can turn a little bit of that pitch correction on in GarageBand. How you use it correctly, well, there's no right and wrong way. Subtly is what I would say. So let me just check. I'll just check if I actually did use it in my track here. Yeah, I did. So I used a little bit of pitch control in my my recent song that I was just showing there. So let's give a practical demonstration, shall we? Here we go. I'll just remove your question there, my friend, so that we can see the screen. So yeah, you can see here for my vocal, I've got a little bit of pitch control on here. So if we go to the section where I was singing the chorus there, when we hit play here.
Spy from a distance, observing social distancing rules.
So you can hear it's just doing a little bit of correction on that one. Now, if I wanted to T-Pain this sucker and I wanted to turn it all the way up, you get a sound more like this.
Spy from a distance, observing social distancing rules.
So that's not going to sound super good. And the main reason that pitch control is challenging on rock vocals and on pop vocals and things where you've got any sort of vibrato in your voice and is that you're not hitting one note. Vibrato is actually the note, and it's a little bit above and or below the note as well. So if you sing and you auto tune, it will go it'll hit the note. But if you're going auto-tune goes like it's trying to find the right note, and that's where you get, if you go all the way up, that's where you get this sort of caper.
Relying on remote access software to make the world safe.
Which, as we know, artists like T-Pain, like Cher back in the day, used as an actual effect. And if you want to use that as an actual effect, go your hardest. No judgment here. But yeah, with pitch control completely off, then
You spy from a distance.
then you can hear that just from not quite on the money. So you can just add a little bit of that. The other tactic that I have suggested and that I've used quite successfully is what you can actually do is duplicate out your vocal track and then say you only wanted auto tune on one section. What you can do is actually split out that word. So just come in here, grab it, split it out. So split out that track, and like here's one I prepared earlier. So say this section only I wanted auto tune on. All I do is drag that one down. Oh, now, someone asked me about this today about how you properly move and copy and paste without putting it in the wrong spot. Yeah, the key is zoom in until you get a grid line that you can lock into, and then pop straight down like that. So what you could do is say I didn't want auto tune on the rest of the track. I could have it off on that track, and then here on this second track, I could turn it on. So that way, this part would have no pitch control, and then this part would. So if there's a couple of notes or a couple of phrases that you need to add auto-tune to, or pitch control in the case of GarageBand, that is how I tackle that and how I do it now. Before I forget to, let's undo all that caper so that I don't think I backed up this track. So I think I'm actually doing this all on the production version of this song, which is a bad idea. Don't do that. Don't do what Pete does. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out with auto tuning or pitch control in GarageBand. We'll continue on here. My chat keeps scrolling on down. RB has a question here. What is your opinion? What is the best small XLR microphone that you know of, similar to the Apogee USB mic, but an XLR version? Okay. So an XLR version, Apogee USB mic, small XLR mic. So basically, apart from a small diaphragm condenser mic, if you're concerned about the size of the mic and you wanted a smaller mic, there's not a heap that are in that range. Most of your XLR mics, the dynamics are kind of handheld mics that look a little bit like this one, that look more like this, but are actually dynamic. This one happens to be a condenser. That's a long story. But yeah, the dynamic microphones are usually a handheld style, and then your condensers will usually sort of screw onto a stand and be sort of a larger, like the AT2020. I don't have one handy. I'm trying to go with. So yeah, depends why you would want a smaller one. So I'd be interested to know that. Is it just for portability to be able to carry it around? Because yeah, most of your XLR microphones don't tend to be on the small side, especially a condenser mic. It's going to be a large diaphragm condenser. Probably the SM57, like the old Shure SM57, is a small dynamic handheld mic. Great for vocals, great for instruments, great for everything, but it's not really that same form factor as the Apogee USB mic. So those little USB mics are built to be small because they're kind of designed to be portable. So if anyone else has any suggestions around that one, let us know. Dan says I'm in Scotland, so won't be awake for the poll, but yes. Excellent. Well, I'll put it on the channel so you'll be able to come back and vote on it at a later stage. And yes, I did mention the Samson Meteor. That is a USB mic, so it's not XLR as such. But there are, in fact, there's a mic that Landr over at Podcastage recommends, which is a Samson mic that is both XLR and USB. I think it's called the QI or something. So search Samson XLR USB mic. That might be a good option if you want kind of best of both worlds kind of thing. Maybe check out something like that. What's my opinion of the Apogee Duet as a USB interface? Haven't actually used one. They are pretty high end and they're pretty costly, and therefore I haven't really explored them because I think for most folks in the home studio, that might be a little bit of overkill. I don't know. Yeah. That would be my view on that one. Question from Rahul is how to remove the floor noise on an iPad. So yeah, the noise floor, if you're not familiar, is if I'll be completely quiet here and I'll turn up my mic. So can you hear that background noise? That's called the noise floor. So the noise you're hearing there is the fan from my PC, maybe a few raindrops because it's been raining outside, some clicking and clacking from the kitchen because it's a condenser mic. It's going to pick up a lot of things. So how do you remove that? Well, removing is almost impossible. How do you reduce it? few tips on that one. Number one is turn everything around you off. Anything with a fan or a motor or anything that's going to be making noise, turn off. Turn off any electronics that aren't making noise but might make interference. That can actually add noise to your recordings. Go into the smallest space you can. This is why iPad recording is good, because you can go into a walk-in closet or a smaller bedroom that's got less reflective surfaces. That's going to help you out. And then from the actual software side, the plugin that I always recommend for folks, if you do want to, if you've got noise that you can't remove any other way, is called Brusfri, Brusfri. It's by Clevegrand. There's a desktop version and an iOS version, and it's not super cheap. I think it's about $15 or $20 to buy. Super worth it. I use it in video production. I use it in my music and in audio. Anytime you've got a consistent sort of background noise, what you do is you record, but you make sure you keep a bit of that noise in there, and then you throw it into Brusfri. You hit the sample button, it samples that noise, and then it adjusts the EQ and it adjusts the sound to actually remove those sounds and to just leave in your wonderful, lovely vocals, guitars, whatever you're recording. So hopefully that helps you out. That's my my quick guide to noise removal and reduction. Here's a cool one, because it's Ask Me Anything. I love this, and I was hoping I would get questions like this. Because we're not doing the lightning round, this is sort of along those lines. So question here from Sunray: do you like Vegemite? If so, how do you prefer it? Butter on a tiny amount, or no butter and 1 centimeter thick? If you're not aware of Vegemite, it is a yeast-based spread that's savory that you have on toast or crumpets or muffins or bagels for breakfast generally. You can have it in sandwiches. You can have it, not really a dinner food, but yeah, Vegemite sandwich for lunch. The classic song, I sung it in the happy hour last week, Down Under by Men at Work, said as a line, he just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. So yeah, the way Vegemite should be consumed is with a moderate amount of butter, not too much. You don't want it swimming in butter, and then with a medium amount of Vegemite. So yeah, I don't put it on a 1 centimeter thick, and I definitely don't sort of skimp on it. My children like it really skimpy, so I often over Vegemite their toast. But for me, it's medium butter, medium Vegemite, medium all the way. You can tell I'm a fence sitter in everything in life, including my Vegemite. But thank you. Cool question. Bit of fun there. And if you're outside of Australia, you got to try Vegemite at least once in your life. But I've seen these Vegemite tasting challenges that they do, and folks on other channels in the States, and they get a jar of it and they heap it out with a spoon. That's not how you eat. It's not Nutella. Don't attack it with a spoon. It's not going to taste good. Anyway. Alrighty. Continue on. Question here from Super Mario Dinosaurs. That's the coolest names, Super Mario Dinosaurs. Do you recommend the mobile app Voloco? And if you don't, what are some mobile apps you recommend that have pre-made beats for a song you want to upload to SoundCloud? Yeah, so I mean, I think because GarageBand is so good at making beats, and by beats, I'm assuming you mean like instrumental backing tracks. See, old man rant alert, but when I was a boy, a beat was the drum beat, and then an instrumental track was when you added anything that wasn't actually just rhythm or percussion. I understand that these days beat just means the backing track, the instrumental track. So creating beats in GarageBand is so easy to do with all the Apple loops you have, all the virtual instruments, all the autoplay functions, that I haven't really looked outside of that, to be honest. There is an app that Patrick from the GarageBand guide mentioned last week called Arcade, which is very cool and great for making beats and unique sort of sounds as well. But I haven't really explored anything outside of that. I know a lot of folks use Beatmaker 3 to create beats. Sion's probably a good one, and it's probably already chimed in and given you some advice on this one. But yeah, whenever I want to make something that's a backing track, I'll just use GarageBand. So probably haven't explored a lot outside of that, and have not tried the mobile app Voloco. So hopefully someone else has got some advice for you. Solrak says, I've already got all my packages on iSymphonic. Yeah, so the way iSymphonic sell, so the app I showed before, iSymphonic, which is an Audio Unit v3 plugin for iOS, iPhone and iPad, the way that works is that you buy the first pack, and it has things like strings and horns and orchestra section and quite generic things. But if you want like just violin or just cello or just trumpet, they're not really there, but you can buy the other packs, and each pack seems to have one or two of the instruments that you'd want. And look, I'm not going to argue because they're beautifully sampled sounds and they're really high quality. But yeah, it would be nice if I could just say, because cello is something I want a lot of. If I could just buy the cello for $5, I would go that. But I'm pretty sure to get just the cello sound, it's in one of their packs, which is like $25 or $30. So yeah, again, it would be good to have it a la carte. But yep, if you do want that, go ahead and do that if you want to check it out, or wait for my review in the coming weeks as well. RB says, a lot of times when I record my vocals, I feel like they're too quiet. Any tips on helping my volume? They're too quiet. So I guess there's two things about quiet vocals. There's your settings, there's a hardware side, and there's the singing side. So let's cover both of these quickly. First of all, the hardware side, you want to make sure that you have your input gain set at the right level. So depending what microphone you're using, it'll have some sort of input either on the software side or the hardware side of the microphone. When you're singing, so sing the loudest part of your song, so usually the chorus, sing that as a bit of a test and dial up your volume until it sits between about 50 and 70%. That's the sweet spot. You don't want it to be up around 100% and clipping, and you don't want it to be down at 25%. You're going to introduce too much of that noise floor we talked about in a previous question. So that's sort of the first thing to make sure you're doing with that. The actual singing itself, though, once you've got that set, is probably more important for you. So microphone technique is big. Make sure that you've got a decent space between your face and the microphone. Use a pop filter or at least a windshield like this when you're recording, when you're singing into the mic. So don't eat the mic like this, but also don't sing away like this, because both of those, if you sing from here, obviously you're going to have to turn it up. It's going to sound quiet in the mix. If you sing like this, it's going to sound all low and bassy, and maybe that's what you're going for. But generally you want to be around about this distance, which is around about 10 centimeters. Can vary depending on the type of mic you're using. Here's the number one thing though. The reason that most vocals don't sound loud enough in the mix is that you're not singing at 100% of your ability or capacity. This isn't a criticism. This is just something that we all face in the home studio. I'm here in my studio, and there once was a time where I would be so self-conscious and embarrassed about singing that I'd be singing like, say I was singing a song and I was trying to sing this song like, spy from a distance, observing social distancing rules. Like if I sing like that, you can hear that I'm singing at about 60%, right? I'm not belting that out. And that's going to come through in your recording. Spy from, if I do this though, spy from a distance, like delivering that, the way you deliver your vocal is so important. And I'm not a vocal teacher, and I'm not a professional vocalist, but I've heard the difference, and you'll see the difference. If you watch someone recording, they've got their eyes closed, the hands are coming in, they're emoting, they're feeling it. If you're not giving that full 100%, you're going to hear it in your mix. It's going to come through in the mix. So yeah, basically the old adage is sing like no one's listening, dance like no one's watching. So if you can find a time when no one's around, if you are self-conscious, no one's around, and just belt it out, like go over the top, go to 120%, go pretend you're on a Broadway show and you're having to like emote even more than you normally would. Go outside of that, and you may find that within your mix that actually sounds even better. So hopefully that helps you out. That's what I tend to find. The hardware side is your input gain. That's the most important thing. On the singing side, it's your own vocal performance and just letting go. Give it 100%. You'll be fine. Alrighty. I'm just scrolling on down. Beale Zebub says, using an orange micro terahead, can I go straight into the input of my interface, or should I use the headphone out? Yeah, so it depends. And different amp, I'm not familiar particularly with the orange micro. So different amps have different outputs. So they'll have a headphone out for a stereo out. Some have a line level out. So some will have two sort of TRS outputs. Some will have just RCA outputs that you can send out to other audio gear as a line out. It depends, and it's trial and error. The key thing to remember, excuse me, the key thing to remember is to turn your volumes and your gains all the way down. It's very easy when you're going through a chain like this. So say you've got a guitar plugged into an amp, you've got input and output gains on your guitar, on your amp, on your software, on your interface. Just turn everything down and very carefully gain it up, because the one thing you don't want to do is just plug everything in, turn it up and go, and then you clip, and then at worst you can cause damage to your gear, to your interface, to your amp, to your iPad or your gear. It's rare, but don't risk it. And you definitely don't want to be like slamming that sort of volume into your ears if you're wearing headphones. So yeah, I do tend to use the headphone out just because I know the volume of the headphone outs of my different gear. So for my keyboard, for instance, I'll just plug a headphone out and then a stereo input into my audio interface, and I record it through there at what is basically line level. But again, starting with those volumes all the way down. So yeah, I think you're on the right mark. Super Mario Dinosaurs. I think I answered your question. So my question was, I don't know. So yeah, apologies that we couldn't actually get a better answer than that. We'll continue down here. I'm looking for the word question because I need to make sure that I need to. Oh, Sion, who is a fantastic supporter of the channel here, by the way. A random comment. I'm doing a giveaway on 2 apps this week to celebrate my 100 subscribers. If you're looking for 2 great iOS apps, check out my last video. And yeah, if you're watching this live or on the replay, click over to Sion or tap over to Sion, subscribe to his channel, doing some great stuff, and also a great supporter of the channel here, and knows knows an awful lot about mobile music creation. So definitely well worth tapping into what Sion is doing over there. Question from Yafiet is, can you be your own record label? So yeah, you can. So you can release using a distributor. So you can use DistroKid. That's who I recommend. DistroKid have a musician account and Musician Plus account and a label account. So if you're an independent artist, you want to release your music, go to DistroKid. There's a link down in the description of this video. You can go there or go to, actually, I don't think it's in this video, but if you go to DistroKid. I can't remember the link. Anyway, you'll find it somewhere on my webpage. But you can go to DistroKid. I've got a 7% off link. Email me if you want it. You can, for $20 a year, you can release all the music that you want as an individual artist. If you want 2 artists, you can go to the Musician Plus account, which is I think $35.99 a year. And then for $79.99 a year, you can have up to 5 artists. So if you want to start your own record label, it's pretty easy to do. You just need to have a distributor that you can use, and then you can actually then make deals and distribute other people's music. So yes, it is easier than ever to be either independent or to start releasing yours and other people's music. Question, another one from your freak. Do you know how to sound old school hip hop on GarageBand? Yeah, so there's a heap of cool hip hop packs. There's one that just came out called, I can't remember, something hip hop. But yeah, go to the sound library on GarageBand and make sure you've downloaded. There's the chill hip hop, there's the lo-fi, there's a bunch of them in there. Definitely go and check it out. Highly recommend it. Here's Joe Dexter. Joe Dexter has a question here. Says, hi, Pete. How are you liking the L8 for recording? I can't wait to try it out in the field when CV19 clears. Have you used it for gigs or any plans to once this clears? Good question, Joe. I've been using it. I haven't used it for recording a lot, but I've been using it for I'm using it right now for these sort of shows, and I've been using it for my live music shows that I'm doing every week, my happy hour shows. And yeah, it's great. The one thing that's missing is a compressor. So I have to tweak my vocal mic settings a little bit. It's okay using this mic because it's a handheld condenser mic. But yeah, having a compressor on the mixer would be a nice to have. So in all honesty, that's really the only thing that's missing. In terms of the quality, the noise level, the converters, everything is great. So yeah, and because it's battery powered, it's like, that's amazing. Like just being able to take it out on AA batteries. Obviously I can't go out and use it anywhere, but what I might do in the next few weeks, maybe I'll do a happy hour live from the backyard if the weather's kind, and we'll test it out to see if it can work on the mobile on the go kind of rig. But yeah, I'm super duper happy with it. As I said, haven't really recorded a heap with it yet, mostly using it for live streaming. But yeah, I would recommend it. And I think it, for the price point, for what, $5.99, yeah, there's nothing. Oh, no, $3.99. Sorry, I try to do the conversion. $3.99 US. It costs me about $1,000 Australian because conversion rates. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you're in the market for a high quality mixer. Question from Rodri Lazy. What audio interface would be great for the Audio Technica AT2020, and what mic stand would be the best? So this, the Steinberg UR22C. I talk about it all the time, or the Steinberg UR12, or the Steinberg UR22 Mark II. I just think that this coupled with the AT2020 is what I use for almost all of my vocal recordings. The AT2020 is a solid mic, gets a great sound. This has really nice clean preamps, really nice converters, sends your audio signal to your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, your PC, wherever you're going, and I think it works the best. Can't go wrong with the Focusrite Scarlett interfaces either, the Scarlett 2i2 or the Scarlett Solo. They are great, either the older generation or the Generation 3. I've got another sneeze in my nose, so that's coming. No, it's gone. And if you're on a budget, some of the Behringer HD models are quite good as well. PreSonus makes some good interfaces. The beautiful part is that there aren't really, there's different quality levels. So the Behringer Euphoria UM2, which is like a $40 interface, you're not going to get the same quality as a Steinberg UR12, but everything around that $100 price point is kind of on par. Like there's not, basically look at it and see what features they have and what ones you need, and then go for the one that's in your price point or that looks like it's going to do the job for you. The reason I go with the Steinberg is it has the multiple power supplies, so you can power it via a battery, which is great when you're on the go and you're using it with an iPhone or an iPad. That's really the only difference between this and like a Scarlett 2i2. It's a good time to be a creator is what I say, because pretty much any of those interfaces are going to do the job for you. And again, all my recommendations that I just mentioned are over at studiolivetoday.com/gear. You can go to my gear guide and check out all the links. What are your thoughts on Lumi Keys by Rolly? I'm very interested as a beginner. So I'm going to confess that I'm so out of the loop on all the Rolly stuff. It looks cool. It seems cool. It's pretty pricey. But yeah, the whole Rolly block system and the Rolly keys and all these things, I haven't played with them. I haven't used them, and therefore I can't really have an opinion. It looks like that they would be good and that they're plug and play and that they'll be fun to create with. I don't know though, because I haven't used them. So sorry that my answer has to be, I don't know. But yeah, I genuinely don't know. But if anyone else has any experience with the Rolly gear, especially the Lumi keys, then let us know. We will pass that on. Question here from Rohan. Says, a friend cuts Vox regions down to the individual phrases, i.e. the track is blank, no region in between each vocal phrase. I tend to leave the silence between the words and phrases. Thoughts? This is a really good question. And I was actually talking about this with a customer, client, person, an artist that I'm working with this week. And because I'm with you, I tend to not. So why don't I show you a demo? I'll bring back my screen here. So you would have noticed that with my recording here, if we can find the spot, I haven't done anything with the in-betweens. So I haven't removed that. So what you're talking about here, for those that aren't aware, look, I haven't even edited the front here, which I totally should have done. But what you could do is, if you didn't want any noise between each phrase, you can come in here, you can split out. So what you'd do is you'd split this, and then you'd come here and you'd tap, you'd split this, and then you'd delete that, like that. And then when you're playing this part, it would go like this.
Answering the call. A new kind.
You wouldn't cut it off that much because obviously I cut the end of the word, but you do something like that.
The call. A new kind.
So you're not hearing that breathing in between. If we bring that back in, then you can hear my little breath in between.
The call. A new.
So yeah, if you really don't want the breath sound in there, you can do that. The reason I don't is that I think it sounds a bit too robotic and unnatural, especially for a rock song or something where you want some feeling and some emotion in there. So the song I was working on this week was Wind Beneath My Wings, the old Bette Midler tune that I was working with a vocalist who recorded their version of it. And I played around with it a little bit in either cutting out the breath sounds like that, so to not have that space, or the other thing you can do is use your automation. So if you tap on the microphone, you go automation, what you can actually do is add in automation, like volume automation points. So you can like add points like that, and you can just reduce the sound down. So what you do is you go to your breath sound, and you, instead of cutting it completely, you'd reduce it. So that's a way I prefer. I'm obviously not in the right spot there. So if I'm going to do anything, I'll do something like this. So what you're doing is, instead of cutting the sound, you're actually just reducing it. So let's take a listen to this.
Ring the call. a new kind of.
So if I didn't want it to sound too robotic, but I still wanted to reduce those breath sounds if they were annoying me or if they were standing out, that's the option I would go with rather than going whole hog and just cutting it. I think that can sometimes sound too unnatural. So that's sort of my opinion. Now, for particular sort of pop songs and other things, you may want to remove it. So, or if it's a really quiet section and it's distracting. So basically, like most things in music, there's no right or wrong. And the answer is generally listen with your ears, not with your eyes. So don't look at it and go, there's a section there, I need to cut that out. Think about what it would be like if you were recording without a screen in front of you. Listen back to it. And yeah, if you're being distracted by a noise that shouldn't be there, then cut it or turn it down. But yeah, I'm with you there, Rowan. I don't tend to do that. I tend to leave the silence in there between, especially if it's not distracting from the mix. But great question. Excellent. We'll continue on here. We've got... This is an interesting question. And to ask me, someone who didn't do this, I'll answer after a quick water break. So, question here from Juba is going to college for music production or audio engineer worth it? Wow, slippery slope here. Full disclosure, I didn't. So my sort of my expertise, what do they say? My trade is customer experience and marketing and sales. So not really music or audio engineer related at all. Although you could argue that these days, as an independent artist and producer, you need those skills almost as much as the music skills. That aside, music production and audio engineering depends on your end game, and it depends on what outcome you're looking for. Can it hurt? I don't think so. I don't think it can hurt to do that. However, I have spoken to a lot of people who have been down that track, and here's the problem. What it used to be is that you could go to audio engineering school, you would then come out, you get an internship at a big studio. If you were good enough and worked hard enough and impressed enough people, they give you a gig. You'd start as as the coffee person running to get the coffee. You then, wax the mixing desks, and then, you know what I mean? You'd have that progression, and then you'd work on sessions. They'd be, wow, you can really mix. And then the old cliche of working your way up the ranks until you are the Chris Lord Algae and you're a big mix engineer. That doesn't seem to work that much these days for a few reasons. There's not very many big mixing recording studios around these days, and the ones that are have their own people, and it's hard to crack into that whole sort of scene. And secondly, a lot of the music production and audio engineering going on these days is less about I'm going to get in trouble with this, less about the technical side. Like, you don't have to know how to thread a tape machine anymore, right? You don't really know how to plug in a giant bank of different compressors and outboard gear unless that's what you're doing. But because that's becoming less and less, what people are actually focusing more and more on is actually training on the software side. Yes, most stuff is in the box these days. So yeah, there's a lot more training around the software side. But the thing that I think you can learn about that helps you is things like music theory, is things like audio theory. But do you need to go to college to actually do it, or can you learn, read books, do online courses? It's entirely up to you, and probably your learning style as well. That's the other thing that I think people miss with that. Some people absolutely need the structure and the learning style of a structured environment. Some people thrive in that environment. Some people 100% don't. I'm someone who doesn't do well in a structured environment because I get super frustrated when I have to go at the pace of a class. So I like to go at my own pace. Sometimes that's slower and sometimes that's faster, but I like to absorb things at the pace that I want to. So for me, self-learning is great. And that's why when I do the flip side of it, when I try to teach things, I try to provide different videos. So this video is obviously a 2-hour live stream. Someone that wants to get in and learn how to do something and quickly get out is not going to watch this. But hopefully someone that has a question can come in here, ask the question, and then get that. And other people may want to sit back, relax, listen in for a couple of hours, and maybe pick up a few tips and tidbits here and there. My other tutorials are literally 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And that's just giving you the information and getting out. This isn't about me though, so I don't know how I flip that around on me. So is it worth it? Like most things in life, you have to weigh it up for yourself. But the number one caveat is don't get yourself $40,000 in debt thinking at the end of the rainbow there'll be this magic opportunity that's going to suddenly give you this great job. it's not going to work that way. It may, but there's no guarantees. And less these days, especially in the current climate, are you going to fall out of that and then suddenly get a $200,000 a job year and pay off all of your student debt in like 3 years and then be making loads of cash as an audio engineer? Hopefully that gives you a few things to think about. I know I probably went too deep on that one. You probably just wanted me to go yes or no. But yeah, that's my views on that. How long have we got? We got 12 minutes left. Let's see if I can get through the questions that we have banked up here. And then we're going to finish off. So would you ever consider becoming a music teacher and teach college students how to mix or music theory? Thank you. Yeah, similar question to the one we had before. I mean, yes and no. Again, I probably am a music teacher in some ways. I'm not professionally qualified, so I know music teachers out there are thumbing their noses right now going, Pete, you are not a music teacher. I call myself a music educator, and I like to think that by showing you how I learned to do things. I mentioned this on last week's show that I think the best time and the best way to teach something is when you've just learned it. So when you learn a new thing, if you can then pass that knowledge on by teaching someone else, it cements that knowledge in your head and it helps them, because if you've just learnt it, it's fresh, you're often going to have a way of actually passing that on better. Now, the challenge I think that more traditional teaching methods have is if I was a college teacher and say I'd been teaching GarageBand 101 for argument's sake, and I'm teaching it for the 10th year in a row and I'm going through with the same things and doing the same things again, I've got a feeling that I would lose my passion, and I'd also probably lose touch with what it's like for those people to be in that situation. So I think the reason that I have a heap of old videos and people are watching 3 and 4 year old videos is that I think that the ones I made back then were when I first learned how to do a thing. And when I watch them back, I'm like, oh, that actually helps me, and that might help someone who's just starting out. If I made an introduction to GarageBand video now, which I still do, and I still try to put my beginner hat on to do those, it might not resonate as well with everyone because I know too much. And sometimes some of the best audio engineers and the best YouTube channels and the best teachers sometimes can't quite, they know so much and they're so intelligent and they know so much about music that it can be hard for them to explain things in simple terms. They'll go, oh yeah, you just use an augmented fourth and blah, blah, blah. And then people are just like, oh, I don't even know what that is. So to bring it right back to scratch can be really hard. A long way to answer a simple question again, but would I ever consider it? Maybe, but I love doing it this way so much that there'd have to be a really good reason for me to want to be a more formal type teacher. Hopefully that answers your question and helps out. Now, we've got a heap here. If I do miss your question here, please throw it in the comments of the video because, I'm probably going to run out of time to talk to everyone and answer every question here. So we'll do a bit of a quick fire. This will be the lightning round because I'm going to have to answer these ones quickly. But do come back tomorrow. We've got home studio Q&A again tomorrow. So if we do miss it, come back or leave a comment below. Question from RB: what does a dry and wet signal mean? I've been so confused. So wet and dry just means how much of an effect's applied. So here's the example. You've got your signal, it's at 100%. You add a reverb plugin, and that reverb plugin will have a wet and a dry knob. If you have that at 100% dry and 0% wet, there is no reverb being applied. If you have it 100% wet, 0% dry, 100% reverb. You're just hearing the reverb. If you want to hear a little of the reverb, you set your dry signal to 90% and your wet signal to 10%, and then 10% of that original signal is going to be the reverb and 90% is going to be the original sound. Hopefully that's a simple explanation that helps you out with that one. Scrolling on down, are there any good acoustic drum audio units for GarageBand iOS? I've heard of one called Soft Drummer that people were talking about recently. I haven't found any good AU drum plugins, to be honest. Nothing that's better than what we have. The one that EG Pulse is one that I've actually been given by the developer that I haven't tried yet, but apparently is really good. Jade Star, who's often on the channel here, she recommends it. So EG Pulse is a good option to check out. I'll be reviewing that along with everything else when I finally can. Question here is, knowing we can tune up inside iSymphonic app, is it possible to tune up or tune the strings inside GarageBand from the GarageBand itself? Short answer is no. Longer answer is yes. There is a, what's the name of the plugin? There's one that you can actually change the pitch. I think it's called pitch something, AU pitch. Let's find out what it's called, shall we? Sorry. Hold the line, please. Your call is important to us. Our next available operator will be with you shortly. It is called AU New Pitch. So AU New Pitch, you can actually take it slightly up or slightly down. You can technically then tune any of your instruments. And I'm actually working on a way to do this to get that, the 440 versus 432 hertz. You might have heard of that. Yeah, I'm working on a video showing how to do that. So yes, check out the AU New Pitch plugin, and that may work for doing that. Scrolling on down. I'm just saying, I'm literally having to look for the word question. If you've asked a question and you didn't put question in it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to see it. So I'm just scrolling on down and seeing what we can find. So Rowan, just a follow up to that, I agree with you. Seems better to leave those ambient elements. Yeah, I think so. Unless you've got horrible room sound behind you, or unless you've got really loud breathing noises or mouth sounds that sound horrible, then yeah, I think you're fine. Hello, Tim. Good to have you here, Tim Osborne. Tim clued me into a cool little drum set that you can hook up to your iPad this week. Yeah. I do want to check that out. Relation to going to college or learning technically, can it hurt? It can definitely hurt you financially. Yeah. And hopefully I covered off on that at the end. You definitely don't want to go into a bunch of debt thinking that you're going to pay it all back when you get this cruisy studio job, because those cruisy studio jobs are fewer and further between nowadays. Question, is it cheating if you use a rhythm book? Basically, if anyone ever says, is it cheating if, my answer is nope. Is it cheating to use loops? Nope. Is it cheating to use autoplay? Nope. Is it cheating if you sample someone else's entire song? Okay, maybe. But yeah, I don't think this is the thing. Like, I see these discussions where it's like, oh, it's bad form. If you're a songwriter, you should never cover anyone else's song. Nah, just have fun with it. Oh, it's bad form. You should never use a rhythm book. Nah, just have fun with it. Music is fun. There aren't rules. It's not like, unless you are in some weird music competition where you're following rules, then there's no rules in music. Yeah, don't just steal someone else's stuff. Be careful of copyright and don't just plagiarize and lift everyone's stuff. But in terms of what you can and can't do, do what makes you happy. As Jade Starr has a great song called Do What Makes You Happy. And I agree with that. Music is fun. We're doing this for fun. We're doing this to support each other and to share art with the world. So do what makes you happy. Super Mario Dinosaur, would you ever consider to collab with country singers? Interesting. I consider everything, but I'm not big into country music. I'm not anti-country music, but yeah, I would have to take that on notice, but would consider it. I'd consider anything. Depends if it was right. How do you properly master for streaming services, and what apps do you think I use? I'd love to give you a longer answer, Patrick, but we are literally 4 minutes to go. I do a lot of stuff on my iPhone and iPad. I like Final Touch for mastering, also Audio Master Pro that I talked about earlier. Making sure you're mastering for streaming services, check out loudnesspenalty.com. And in fact, check out Ian Shepherd. He's got a great bunch of stuff on mastering. If you go to loudnesspenalty.com or search Ian Shepherd mastering, they're kind of my go-to things for learning about mastering and knowing more stuff about things. Question from Patrick Parker, same person. Not to be nosy, but how much have you made off your music so far? My actual music is I'm happy to say this, I don't make a lot of money from my music. So I've got a video in the works at the moment actually about music and money and making money with your music streaming services. It's about 0.5 cent per stream, no, 0.05 of a cent per stream. Basically, you need to get yourself thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of streams before you start making any money. To give you an idea, I use DistroKid. I've got an album, a couple of EPs, a bunch of singles out there. Through streaming and the occasional lovely person that purchases my songs, probably in the ballpark of $30-40 a month. Like it's not, because I don't promote my music either. I'm not out there on Spotify. I don't have the Instagram hustle going on. I know a lot of other people will make more money from music. My focus is more about helping you create music. So a lot of what I do with my business with Studio Live today is helping other people through the tutorials and through these sort of Q&As, helping other people create great music. So hopefully, that answers that. How are you doing? I'm doing well. And that might have to be our last question. I'm so sorry if I've missed you, because it's been 2 hours of solid questions. And if you want to go back and check out the questions that we've had answered during the show, we can. All is not lost though. You can jump down to the comments section and throw a comment down there, and I will get back to that in the next 24 hours. So the best time to comment on a video is when I've just released it, because I'll usually be watching and usually get the notifications for the newest video. We also have home studio Q&A at this time tomorrow. So if you missed out and you can't get enough Q&A home studio, that's obviously not an Ask Me Anything. It's more focused in on home studio and recording. So if you've got questions about setting up home studio, recording in the home studio and everything else, you can join me for that one. We also have the happy hour happening tomorrow. So that's a 90s special. So if, like me, you love the 90s, flannelette shirts and grunge and long hair and all that fun stuff, I'll be playing some acoustic covers of some of my favorite 90s songs. So you can join me there. Jump over to studiolivetoday.com. If you want to find out all the ways you can engage and interact, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the different places. You can email me at pete@studiolivetoday.com if there's something that you want to talk to me specifically about. I'm a little behind, a couple of days behind on the email. I'll always try and get back to you, at least in some way at some stage. But unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to answer every question and every specific question. What you'll find is I'll probably link you to a video, and I'll probably send you to a community like the GarageBand Users Facebook group or one of the great forums that we have online. Because again, asking a community of people is often a lot better than just one. I've got some answers, but I don't have all the answers, and that's the beautiful part. That's the beautiful part of these sort of Q&A shows, is as many of the questions get answered by other people in the chat as I can. In fact, many more, probably 3 times as much value comes from those in the chat. And wonderful folks that are watching here live, like Melissa. Did you know Bobby Gabriel? He worked with Ginger Bee. I didn't. And I'd love to talk more about that, but I'm about to finish off. We've got 30 seconds left. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Melissa, for the kind donation. Thank you all for supporting the channel. And I will see you. Hang around. We've got a big weekend of live shows here. I'll catch you real soon. Take care, folks. Bye.